Good morning, my name is Jay Case and I'm here to talk about Nihilist. Nihilist is a 2018 music video anthology that we put to my EP with the same title. The videos were directed by Ben Ross and produced by Paradisioproductions. What Nihilist is a deeply personal expression of how I feel depression is like. So the goal we had in mind was to demonstrate the discrepancies between how depression is visible within a person and what the reality of that depression actually is. What you see is our main characters basically going through hell, but these are all put to upbeat hip-hop things. So it really makes it look like they're having fun. It kind of, to me at least, relates to the path of self-destruction that a person with depression would take that might just look like they're having fun, but really they're destroying themselves. Their whole ordeal is given extra cultural and religious references we use through imagery and symbolism throughout the project. Basically, you see these characters start out as just normal people, and you see them become broken down and manipulated, terrorized by this abstract evil that is depression. So you might be wondering who the animated face guy is. That's how we tried to personify this abstract evil that we decided is depression. He is literally the physical embodiment of that. And you see him follow around these characters and he marks them. And what the mark means is they're more or less infected with it now. And of course, misery loves company, so then they go off and infect others and mark others.
So the effect on Evil Jesus throughout Nihilist was kind of hit or miss. There were some shots where it came out exactly how I wanted it, how I envisioned it in my head. In other ones, it was really amateur. The entire process of making Nihilist, though, was a learning experience and a big period of growth for both Jay and I. So I really think that it represents us as artists. We came into ourselves and we developed a lot of our core values and themes that we have really built upon to this day. It was foundational to building our image and our brand. Not to mention, when we started shooting, which is the first video we shot was Maui, we were using very old gear. I was shooting with my old Canon T3i, which is like a 2007 DSLR. This thing is kind of a piece of crap. During that process, I bought all new gear. The Canon 5D Mark III that I'm shooting on right now. I picked up a series of cinema lenses. The Rokinon Cine DS line especially. These things are real nice. They have a manual aperture. I throw them on the Ronin, which I now have as well, and I like to throw a follow focus on them. But yeah, these are fantastic lenses. The new gear really changes the quality of the videos. As you can see, as it goes on, they stop looking like completely amateur shot on cell phone type crap, which we never shot on cell phones, but we grew a lot during this time.
So philosopher is introspection. It's self-observance about imperfections. And as you keep beating yourself down, this darkness takes form, and Evil Jesus enters. So he comes in, and right from the get-go, he marks my character, right? And shortly after, he marks another character that we named Hobbs. And the mark, as I stated, is literally depression, but it's ironic. It's something people can visibly see, whereas just walking around, no one can see what's going on in your head. People don't know what's in there. So we kind of tried to flip that idea, but we took it and made it outward.
So with that symbol, I really took this idea of Evil Jesus being this ancient, mystical kind of evil pretty far. So the pagan god Baphomet, who's really portrayed as like a satanic figure, he's the goat-headed god who's always portrayed sitting with his hands like this. I took that hand sign and I put it together to create the graphic, the symbol for Nihilist and the mark that everyone receives. I really try to project it as being a demonic symbol.
So you might have also noticed that only in Philosopher we used the crown, and that's where the religious imagery comes in. It takes it in a more apocalyptic direction where the crown represents that evil Jesus, so to speak, is the false Messiah. And the metaphor is really going on in Hobbes' head. He's honestly the most important character. As his depression gets worse, he starts looking for a savior, and he looks towards the wrong one. So I especially like the scene where evil Jesus shoots me. He places the crown on my head and does one of those. And if you watch the shadow where my head is, you can see the bullet exiting my head. It's a nice little touch that you might miss, but it kind of goes to say, ha, I got you. You're mine now. So at the end of the song itself, we've got a phone message from the narrator who's present more or less through the album. In the album itself, he's just a concerned friend. But in the video, he takes a more important role. He's in the scene, but he's separate from it. He's watching, and he's still concerned, but there's not a whole lot he can do. He's just observing. So the song itself, for track 2, if you don't mind, is pretty sarcastic. The hook starts with, I hope you have a great day, but then the entire song talks about a pretty shitty day. The video's not much different. Hobbes is having his own great day. He walks out of the building, bumps into OQ. OQ's not too happy about that, which is represented by how he used evil Jesus with the fire behind him, commanding them to fight. So OQ immediately starts beating on Hobbes, and then proceeds to go and mark another character that we named Jordan. This was Hobbes' task, and he failed. So towards the end of the video, we used another shot of evil Jesus in a similar way, where they were commanding them to fight before. Now he's saying, no, come here, and he's calling everyone in.
I hope you had a great day.
I like the shot here. The effect is really clean, and it very simply leads you into the next video. It grabs the characters from If You Don't Mind, and it gives them their objectives to move them forward in the story and to go on their quests.
Maui is more or less the beginning of the end. We introduce much darker tones in the video. It's a lot more chaotic. There are a lot of different things going on. Even lyrically with it, I say, lucky I woke up, but I'll admit this ain't a good morning. That references an old track of mine called Good Morning that was about partying, having a good time. And now I'm saying, well, yeah, I'm lucky I woke up today, but it's not a good morning. I'm not having a good time.
So I think Maui's the deepest video of the bunch in terms of how much there really is to unpack. This is also the time when I transitioned from my old gear to the new gear. So this was really a period of growth and learning with the new tools, but also it was really exciting because I was no longer hindered by my limited older gear. I was finally using cinema-grade lenses that have been used in movies, and I was able to learn more and flex, you know? It was fun. We were growing, we were creating, and it was just nostalgic as shit looking back on it now. Maui opens with intercutting parallels of Jay and evil Jesus who's thrashing around, kind of showing like his mental state and how he's breaking down on the inside, but he's like on the outside he's composed and looks like he's with it, and that's portrayed by the parallelism. And we kind of take that further, like when he's in the tunnel, you have the image fades from Jay being in there to the dark and dank kind of looking room as evil Jesus is comes in there and he approaches you with a lantern.
With dark thoughts. Look at me wrong, you are not smart.
Throughout the entire video, we've got parallels between me and Evil Jesus himself. I'm kind of separate from Hobbs and Jordan's characters. They've both been given tasks. They've been sent out to mark other people. Meanwhile, you've got me sitting in similar locations as him. There's a lot of mirroring that we use to kind of show how I'm almost like a human form of him. Because you can have this monster telling you to do these things, but then you apply another human being to it, and it's almost like, okay, this is all right. Someone else is doing this too. But even then, there's shots where I'm visibly frustrated and concerned about what's going on. Yes, I'm doing what Evil Jesus wants me to do, but deep down, I don't like being in chains.
So Evil Jesus summons Jay and Jordan to him, and he gives them their tasks to attend to for the rest of the video. Hobbs is also sent along to go mark people with them, but he fails, and that comes back to punish him. I do really like the shot of Jordan here helping Evil Jesus get somebody else marked. Just a cool looking shot. I used an octopus and with its tentacles going out in the background for the effect over his face. And later on in the video, I tried to kind of represent also with the multi-armed Evil Jesus. I really like that shot too. That was a fun effect.
Hobbs has already tried and failed to mark people twice. At this point, Jordan very quickly marked someone, so she's won over Evil Jesus' favor. There's parts in this video where you see me driving over a bridge. That's a very important bridge for later. It's a lot of foreshadowing for what's to come for Hobbs' character. You see him in a very similar environment to this one, where after already getting his ass kicked twice, Evil Jesus now comes to do it again to punish him. One shot that I really found interesting was there's a very quick one where you see the mark on my hand, it's all bloody and there's blood all over my hands. And that's kind of a callback to show what's to come, what's already happened, and then remind you that in Philosopher, I opened the door. I allowed Evil Jesus to come in, and now there's literally blood on my hands.
The idea of Evil Jesus hitting Hobbs and just yelling at him and all that anger, it was reflective of an abusive relationship and kind of like a cult mentality. Jay's then seen in the same room, hitting his verse with all the sharp lighting and the vibrant colors and the smoke in the background. Love those shots, fantastic. Use the Ronin to get that sweeping kind of effect around him with the godlight coming through. So Maui is really like everyone coming together at the beginning, and then they fracture. They go off in their separate ways, and they all start to have really dark times, and it sets up the fallout, and it sets up where they're all going to go as characters for the rest of this project. At the end, we just have Jay sitting there in the park from the beginning, and he's just contemplating what's happened, what's to come. He knows it's not over. So I also kind of set up Hobbs as failing his quest. He's failing his quest because here in this video, Maui, and if you don't mind, we set up why Evil Jesus would finally snap at him and be angry and take out his anger on Hobbs. Maui being the third of 5 videos, it's essentially the third act, you know? So this is the big transition. This is where the conflict comes to a front, and now all the characters need to deal with it. And moving on, we're going to go into Strange Dreams, where they try to escape their problems, and the consequences of doing that come back in the moment.
In my bank account, desperate to lose.
While I was writing Maui, I used the word Maui as kind of a lyrical device. I wanted to kind of parallel Maui as depression, which is why it's called Maui -- Why Be Sad. Because think about it, you're in Maui. How could you be sad? But it's all fake. And I feel like that's really conveyed in the part of the video where it says welcome to Maui. And it says this while all this crazy shit is going on and these characters are really starting to fall apart. Welcome to Maui. You're in hell now. Strange Dreams is like the calm before the storm. Not a whole lot of significant things happened in the video itself. Matter of fact, we're all kind of just chilling around the fire. We use fire quite a few times in that video as an imagery device though. You see, towards the beginning, right after Hobbs has been punished by evil Jesus, he hands him the bottles, kind of like a friendly gesture. Meanwhile, his face is in flames and it's all distorted and shit. This is kind of meant to show the tension that's been building up. At this point, most of the characters are just about broken. You see Hobbs, who's just about breaking down. Jordan's more or less silent unless she's trying to calm Hobbs down. But then, on the other hand, there's kind of a dichotomy with my character. I'm happy, I'm moving around. There's one scene where I'm on the ground just rapping, just having a good time. Meanwhile, all this calamity is beginning to happen. This kind of comes from my closeness with evil Jesus at this point. You see one scene where I'm literally touching his face and he's touching mine. We're embracing each other and he's growing more and more powerful. So the stronger he gets, it's almost like the stronger I get. And through all of this, I'm still in a good mood, even though everyone's falling apart.
So all along, I've been using a ton of anime, especially for the Evil Jesus mask effect. Mostly because it has a lot of movement and bright, bold colors that will translate to an interesting kind of pattern underneath. And also because I just fucking love Neon Genesis Evangelion, and you should all
Never
watch it.
put things nicely, whipping my Chevy at light
In the
speed.
video, Hobbs is constantly on edge, and all it takes is him just spilling his beer on himself to just have enough. He stands up, tosses on the ground, and he just storms off. He's done. Jordan tries to follow, but like, she can't get to him now. He's so far gone.
So the moment is kind of where it all wraps up. What's happened to everyone has kind of hit its pinnacle, and it's broken all of them. You see everything that happens to Hobbs' character. Jordan started to actually rebel against evil Jesus. There's a point where she's got the opportunity to mark someone who's just walking past her in the street. She doesn't. This really pisses evil Jesus off. Imagery-wise, there's signs of danger everywhere. Right at the beginning of the video, there's a saw blade. We use knives at certain points. We're just trying to convey that it's a really bad situation at this point. It has swallowed the characters. Jordan even goes so far in her rebellion from evil Jesus as to try to help Hobbs, try to stop him from drinking, stop him from self-destructing. Unfortunately, it's unsuccessful.
Despite Jade doing so much for evil Jesus, he still gets berated. He still gets called out and like beat up for it.
Bread, right? You can't stop me, red lights. I bet you think my bread, right? I think I just went on with your world.
This is really discouraging to his character, and it's like the ultimate betrayal. This is someone that he's dedicating his whole self to, and he's lashing out at him. He's like basically calling him a failure, and like he's not enough for him. Again, kind of furthering that imagery of like an abusive relationship. Jay doesn't know what he's done wrong. He feels like evil Jesus is punishing him for failures that he isn't aware of. And now evil Jesus is pushing him into some situations that he's not comfortable with, like trying to force him to pick up the knife, and who knows what comes with that if he actually followed through.
At this point, my character more or less just wants out. You can see points where I'm trying to wash off the mark and new ones start popping up on me. I even go so far as to try to cut it out of my literal flesh to get rid of it. Obviously, this doesn't work. It's kind of funny. Earlier throughout the short film, I was holding it up like a gang sign, like something I was proud of, and now I'm literally trying to rip it out of my flesh. Unsuccessful. And in the end, you see me still marked. I've lost, Hobbs is gone, and I'm just broken down on the floor. The red and blue lights are flashing.
Hobbs is straight up depressed and broken at this point. He looks over the balcony and he only sees the worst for himself. He's not relieved being outside. He's not getting away from his problems by getting out there. He just looks down. That's his perspective. His story from here is simple. He just walks to the bridge from Maui that Jay drives over, and he reflects on all the bad things that have happened to him, everything that has brought him to this really, really low point. And he jumps. At the bridge, the world around Hobbs was dreamlike, peaceful, kind of cloudy. It was bright and vignetted. He was in acceptance of where he was. And for once, throughout what we've seen of him, he was okay with his circumstances. And that's why it was such a floaty, glowing type of imagery. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the first story that we know that humans have written and have recorded to pass down to generations. It describes a flood that destroys the world, and we tried hard to incorporate a lot of imagery of the flood, including with Hobbs' death, where he jumps into a river. Even while Jay is reading Gilgamesh, Evil Jesus picks up the glasses from him and puts them on his head and then starts taunting him. It's a lengthy kind of exchange you're having right there.
Right,
go now.
My face and like push it to the side.
Yeah. This whole project, I wanted to shoot Evil Jesus like a horror monster, and much of it like a conventional rap video, in order to make some big distinctions in the tone of it. The way I wanted to kind of approach that was to make it like Evil Jesus was invading in the video, like he was this outside force breaking into the world and imposing his own will upon it. I love using bright and vibrant colors, obviously, as you can see from all these videos, especially Maui, I think. But I found a lot of ways to use it in ways that would develop the characters and that would expand upon the themes and the mood and tone of each scene. There was also a real mix of styles between each of the videos. I was able to implement different techniques to give them a different feel in each video. I think especially, if you don't mind, stands out as one that you could look at as being a solo music video that's kind of a hype piece almost, but in viewed with context of the rest of the project, it is more substantial. There's a lot of interplay between this being a music video and a short film. And that's kind of a theme that Jay and I have progressed in our further projects, most notably our most recent music video, Hyperspace.
I want my albums to be art pieces, not just albums. They're for digesting, not just listening to. The way I see my music, especially as conveyed in Nihilist, is if you don't get it, it's probably not for you. And that's okay, that's just my personal style. Having explained what this is all about, I think the people that this is for can see it. They recognize it and can take something out of it. Out of the characters like Hobbs who fall deep into it, or me who embraces it and is ultimately crushed by it. I hope someone can take this in and realize that change is possible. We had a lot of fun doing this project, honestly. It was definitely one of our most creative works to date. I've been working with Ben Ross for a very, very long time. It was honestly about growth, self-discovery. I know a lot of the imagery we used in was pretty cryptic, so I hope this can help you as the viewer understand what we were trying to achieve a little better. This has been a case study on Nihilist. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
Whatever that means to you. I can tell we from the same place, so I kinda wanna see it through. We can go and hit the pad late. Is that cool with you? We can go and hit the pad late. I'm feeling bulletproof. Put your hands up if you ain't got $1 to your name though. Get that cash and fame though. Never see the same hoe. I just wanna hang with who does never see me so reclusive. Who's a chain motherfucker? Don't forget my name.